Throndeisha was sitting up in class with Tyrell and them when she smelled something in the air. "Smell like one of them box apple pies," she said. "You know the ones?" "You talking about them table talk pies. They got all them flavors." That's America's favorite pie." "Ain't nobody say all that," said Throndeisha. Throndeisha rolled her eyes and looked over at her teacher, who was scribbling away at the chalkboard. The small man wobbled slightly as his feet tried to keep up with his rapidly moving, chalk-wielding hand. Throndeisha had had enough math for today. "Can't nobody tell me nothing!" Throndeisha screamed as she hurled her desk across the classroom. Mr. Templeton whirled around, dropping his chalk, nearly collapsing to the ground. Throndeisha picked up the chalk and crushed it into dust in front of Mr. Templeton before storming out of the room, down the hallway, and out through the school's front doors. "Where the hell is my pie?" screamed Throndeisha, the hot sun glaring down from above. "Hey, don't you think you was a little hard on Mr. Temps back there, Thro?" Throndeisha scowled, grabbing Tyrell by the throat. "Mind your business." She threw Tyrell's crumpled body to the ground and stormed off. Throndeisha strutted through town, eager to find the source of the wondrous smell. Her hips swayed in the breeze and led them to a popsicle stand. "Hey, Mr. Popsicle Man," said Throndeisha. She leaned across the counter and wrapped her nails across the top. The Popsicle Man sneered after looking Throndeisha up and down. "I'm sure I don't have anything you'd want," said the Popsicle Man. Throndeisha took out a sack of quarters and laid them across the countertop. "Give me a strawberry cone with a cherry on top," she said. The Popsicle Man rolled his eyes before turning around and fishing a cone out of his cabinet. "And 2 cherry popsicles," said Tyrell. The Popsicle Man groaned as the gang giggled. He turned back around, arms full of frozen treats, and began ringing up their order. Throndeisha snatched up the goods and pulled her sack of coins from the counter. Hey, yelled the Popsicle Man. "Don't even think about stealing that, you old badass kids." Throndeisha flung a handful of quarters at the man's teeth before strutting away. "Buy yourself something nice," she said. The Popsicle Man rubbed at his face and eyes, screaming, "I'm blind! I'm blind!" Throndeisha finished her cone in one bite before realizing that wasn't what she had been smelling. She looked around, desperate to find the source of the mysterious smell. "If I don't find the source of that smell soon, I might just break somebody's neck," said Throndeisha. "Be calm, Thro," said Tyrell. "It's all good. Just remember to stay positive." Throndeisha slowly turned around to look at Tyrell. Her fists were clenched and she shook with rage. "Gotta look on the bright side," said Tyrell, smiling beneath the shadow of Throndeisha. Throndeisha's eye twitched as she reached down towards Tyrell's jaw. Hey, look!" shouted Oatmeal. Tyrell and Throndeisha turned to look at what Oatmeal had been talking about. They pointed at a car driving by. The people in the back seat dangled their arms from the windows, discarding chicken bones. "That smell!" exclaimed Throndeisha. She turned away from Tyrell and began running, galloping towards the car. Throndeisha jumped through the sky, seconds whizzing by as she flew midair towards the car. She landed on the hood with a thud before quickly grabbing the driver from the window and throwing him to the concrete street below. She leapt from the car and tumbled onto the grassy side of the road before jumping up and sprinting over to the crumpled body of the driver. "Tell my wife I love her." But before he could finish, the man slipped away, never to breathe the breath of life again. Throndeisha searched the dead man's pockets before hearing screams and looking up. The car that she jumped from was careening out of control over a nearby cliff. It went over, going 90 miles an hour, then plummeted to the bottom of the stony chasm, sending a mushroom cloud of fiery doom into the clouds. Throndeisha grabbed the piece of crispy chicken that dangled from the crushed man's fist and gobbled it down. Panting and out of breath, Tyrell and Oatmeal ran up beside her from over the nearby hill. "There's a hunger inside of me, a thirst that can't be quenched," said Throndeisha. She looked up to the afternoon sun and pondered at her existence before releasing a guttural roar to the heavens. Oatmeal and Tyrell sat on the hill, gazing at the setting sun. The heat from Throndeisha's tireless body warmed their cooled skin in the evening sun. It was a dark and stormy night, and Throndeisha was sitting up in the cottage with Tyrell and Oatmeal. It was a cozy cottage out in the middle of the woods. They decided to go out camping. "Y'all want to bake a pie?" asked Oatmeal. "Oh, I do," said Tyrell. Throndeisha folded her arms and rolled her eyes. "Don't nobody want no damn pie," she said. "Oh, but we could bake some cookies, though." "We don't have the ingredients," said Oatmeal. Tyrell looked longingly out of the window and watched the mighty winter storm unfold. Throndeisha decided then and there that they would go out for a walk to the grocery shop to get some milk. It was a long ways away, through the woods and across the town. Throndeisha's stomach grumbled something fierce, and she knew that if she didn't find food soon, some poor unfortunate soul would have to pay the price. So out she went, with Tyrell and Oatmeal in tow, curious to see what the cold winter night would bring. Throndeisha roamed past the trees, enjoying the cool breeze. She didn't mind the cold. An old man with a broken bottle waved to Throndeisha from his usual spot on his stoop. Throndeisha rolled her eyes at the man, avoiding his gaze. She didn't like his old run-down house or his mouth that had no teeth. "Hey, don't ignore me, young lady," the old man said. Throndeisha turned around slowly to face the funky old man. Her fists clenched, and she shook with the rage of 1,000 suns. "What you say to me, boy?" asked Throndeisha. The old man trembled slightly before apologizing to Throndeisha and disappearing back into the dark corners from whence he came. With that out of the way, Throndeisha continued down the avenue towards the shop downtown. The moon glowed brightly in the sky, and the glorious night awaited. Throndeisha was sitting up on the corner with Tyrell and them. They had a big old bucket of chicken and biscuits, freshly made. "You got some hot sauce?" asked Oatmeal. Throndeisha fished around in her purse and pulled out a bottle of Frank's. "Throw some of this on them wangs," she said. She tossed the bottle to Oatmeal, and he slathered it on his wings. "Careful," said Tyrell. "Not too spicy now." Throndeisha rolled her eyes, taking a bite out of her chicken. "Ain't nobody worried about no hot sauce," she said. She yanked the bottle from Oatmeal's trembling hands and gave him another dose of the sauce. I don't know if that's a good idea," began Tyrell, but before he could finish, Throndeisha had snatched him up by the lips, dangling his tiny body from her fist. She glared down at Oatmeal, who clutched the saucy wing. "Eat it," she said. Oatmeal hurriedly slurped up the juicy wing, smacking his lips in the process. "Now how that taste?" asked Throndeisha. Oatmeal's cheeks puffed and his eyes bulged. Steam began to trickle out of his ears. "I told you so," said Tyrell. Oatmeal's eyes watered, and when he opened his mouth to speak, a barrel of flames erupted from between his lips. The inferno scorched the table and chairs. It burned the flowers and the grass. Throndeisha dropped Tyrell's lips and ran for her life. The poor old woman crossing the road had her new wig scorched by the flames. Tyrell ran as fast as he could to find a bucket of water. Once he had it in his hands, he threw the icy water upon Oatmeal's burning lips. Once extinguished, Oatmeal's weary body lay crumpled and burned on the ground. Throndeisha appeared from around the corner carrying the bottle of Frank's. "Oops," she said. "I must have filled this up with my special blend." She placed the bottle back into her purse and began making her way down the street to live another day. Throndeisha was sucking down a milkshake near an ice cream trolley that was playing Oatmeal's favorite song. Old Mr. Jenkins strolled by with a popsicle in hand and farted loudly. "Ugh," shouted Throndeisha. "Can't that nasty fool see that I'm trying to eat?" "Everybody farts, Thron," said Tyrell gleefully. He giggled and slurped down the rest of his smoothie. "Nah, that's just a rude mother," said Throndeisha. She finished the rest of her shake and crushed the cup in her fist. "Come on," said Throndeisha. "I want to go find some gold." "Gold?" asked Oatmeal. Said Throndeisha. "I heard they buried some over by the old train tracks." With that said, Throndeisha strutted past the ice cream trolley and made her way across the field and into the woods towards the old tracks. Big old towering trees loomed up beside the three friends as they traveled. Strange sounds echoed through the woods, sending shivers down their spines. "I want to go home," said Oatmeal with tears in his eyes. Throndeisha swung around with fire in her eyes. "Now don't you start with that mess," she said. She reached down to grab Oatmeal up by the throat when suddenly she stopped. Throndeisha sniffed the air and looked around slowly. "There's someone here," she said. Oatmeal and Tyrell shook with fear as Throndeisha scanned the woods. There was a rustling in the bushes to the left. Like lightning, Throndeisha reached into the bush and yanked out a small trembling woman. "What the doing up in this bush?" bellowed Throndeisha. The small woman drooped like wilted cabbage in Throndeisha's mighty fists. When she didn't respond, Throndeisha reached back her hand, preparing to deal a mighty blow. "Wait!" the tiny woman shouted. "My name is Karen, but you can call me Trudy." Throndeisha squinted her eyes and set the small woman down. We're going to the bake shop. We're going to the bake shop.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We're going to the bake shop. Said we're going to the bake shop.
Doobity-doo.